All right, welcome to our Week 7 KK Collision Coaches Show. Joined first by Bowling Green head coach Josh Wade. Sorry for the delay. Seems like every week they bring out a couple pizzas here at about 7:30. And, we can't resist here at American Freedom Energy Grandma's General Store.
They bring us a meat lovers and a pepperoni, and we don't stray from that. And I thought I was done, and I knew you were kind of pushing us. Hey, we got to get going. But I had to have one more piece of the meat lovers. It's called Slice and Batter Pizza here at Grandma's General Store, folks. I'm telling you, it is as good as your local pizzeria. It's not your gas station pizza.
Well, the problem is we sit in here and do the podcast, and then you're smelling the pizza, and at the point that they bring it, I mean, it's game over. It's game over.
Josh Wade gave his approval, right, Coach?
Absolutely. It was good. It was good.
We love it. I'm Lynn Grawl, joined by Neil Schuler, Tori Strock. Coach, through Week 6, where do you feel like you're at as you head into the last month of the season here?
I think going into the season, our goal was to play meaningful football down the stretch. And, we've put ourselves in a position to be able to do that, to finish off September and getting into October. And then hopefully, maybe sneak in somewhere and play Week 11.
Coach, going back really from, first time we talked here over the summer, and, you kind of sharing with me, and we broadcast the heck out of it, but your RPO mantra, run people over, just kind of talk through where that originated, how the team kind of rallied around that, just, because that's really turned in to sort of your guys' identity and your stamp.
Sure. I went to a clinic in Detroit over the wintertime and listened to a coach from Texas, Coach Cadutti. He's in Fulcher, Texas. And he said, man, you got to create a brand and you got to sell it. And his idea was the old school NWO, the professional wrestling with Hollywood Hogan. And man, that was right up my alley. I love that stuff, growing up. Like that was me. And I'm like, yeah, NWO. And then the more I thought about it, I was like, that's Northwest Ohio. I was like, dang, we can't do NWO. So kind of thinking of more of a common phrase when people, try and talk about football, even though they may not know much about it. And RPO was something that popped in my brain. And I remember, when I was spending time in Texas, there was a coach that they ran the football all the time. And I remember seeing on the whiteboard on one of the visitors' locker room, and it said, run people over. And I'm like, you know what? That's it. We're just going to take this and run with it. And kind of reinvented the offense a little bit. I'll be honest with you, the plan was originally to still stay pistol, but wing T out of the pistol. And when we jumped into that double tight Week 1 against Otsego, because we didn't show it, it just felt more and more right. And the kids just kind of took that and ran with it. We painted the inside of our locker room in the middle of two-a-days for whatever reason. I thought that was a good decision. But we put RPO real big and, big, bold letters. And don't be afraid of it. We know when we put that out there, people are going to say, oh, they say run people over. But, it gives our kids something to buy into. We took it on the chin last week, but we're not going to stray away from trying to do it every week. And, Southview is going to be a tough opponent as we go through. But, RPO has been the mantra. I think you've heard Jay Shannon talk about it multiple times. Peyton's talked about it. When your leaders are breathing it and being about it, it gets contagious. And I've seen, some of our students that don't even play football, they've created their own RPO shirts because all the RPO shirts that we have right now, we only have for the team. Obviously, as we move forward, we'll get more T-shirts out in the community. But, started with wristbands that we started passing out at youth camp and with the phrase on there. And, I think a lot more people in BG, when they hear RPO, it stands for run people over. So that's all we can ask for, creating a brand, selling it, and the kids buying into it.
Coach, go ahead. Sorry about that. A lot of different ways to move the football. You see all kinds of different schemes and modes of attack and things like that. Why does this approach fit you and Bowling Green best right now?
Well, I think, when we did our evaluation over the wintertime, it was, what do we have? And offensively, it was, we had some guys that can run the football. Okay, how do we get those guys to football? And, just being around the game and being a student of the game, you just start watching clinics on YouTube. I mean, YouTube is such a great resource. You can find anything on there. We subscribe to Glazier, and I talked about the clinic that we went to in Detroit. And, you just get on there and you just listen to other coaches talk about the game, be a student of the game. And that's what it came down to. And I think the reason why we fell on wing T is because it eliminates decision-making in the run game. I think, prior experiences and whatnot, the less that you can put on a kid to have to make that split decision, the better off you're going to be. So I think so far we've seen the production, skyrocket in terms of offense. We broke the old school rushing record in a single game 3 times this year. That was, according to the records we had, was a record in 1950. So here we are in 2023, and we broke it 3 times in 6 games. So,
Wow.
It's just something those kids can hang their hat on and look, there's proof to what we're doing, and it just kind of gives them the reassurance as we keep moving forward.
Well, I love it. Just so you know, I love it.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. What was your kids' reaction when you presented this to them?
I think they're kind of hesitant with, something new, like always. But then when you start preaching the idea and showing them, I think kids are big into, well, show me the why. And you can show some clips, or you can show, what coaches are talking about. And then when we started to finally, get into it on the field, with the OHSA changing the rules, we started in May, so before school let out. So it kind of gave the kids a piece of it before we went on summer break, and they were just hungry to come out and get some more of it throughout the summer.
Coach, talk about, so you mentioned JC as Shannon and Peyton as well. Multiple games you've had this season with several over 100-yard rushers.
Mm-hmm.
How is it where you're able to get multiple guys the ball and to get production out of multiple guys?
Well, I think, just being in tune with the staff, trying to ID the front. I know with what we do, people are going to put 10, if not 11 guys in the box. They're going to go what we've deemed monster fronts week in and week out. And it's just, where can we find that weak link and try and expose it? And then when they take that away, it's going to the next one. If you're familiar with the wing T, it's buck, belly, trap. And then we've got a little, what we call our tunnel toss. That's where you'll see Jamison at quarterback. He'll turn around, toss it, but then he's also leading up through the hole. It's just finding which one are you taking away, and then which one can we run off of it. I know we've hit our counter play or scissors or crisscross, whatever you want to call it. I think Jay's hit that 4 or 5 times for 50 plus in a touchdown. He just hit it against Clay in the second quarter. It gave us the lead there briefly, 50 yards untouched. And, you just keep doing it over and over. We don't have a ton of plays. We'll put all the bells and whistles on, trying to out formation you and, giving you different looks and tweaks and motions. And, the more simple we can keep it up front, I think the more the guys in the back will excel.
Coach, tough loss last week, obviously. I'm not going to get into specific injuries and things like that. I know you have some key guys banged up. Coming off a loss, going on the road to arguably one of the favorites in the Cardinal division. How do you regroup and make sure your guys are in the right frame of mind as you prepare for Southview this week?
I think it's just worrying about what we can control. Offensively, we can't have any mental mistakes. We can't turn the ball over. And then defensively, we got to find a way to get a stop. If you give up a big play, you got to find a way to get them down and make them snap the ball again. It's just knowing your assignment and executing it to the best of your ability. I mean, we know we play good teams. It's the NLO. I've said it multiple times before the season, during the season, and I'm going to say it after the season too. You got to bring your A game, and you can't afford, especially with a team like Clay and then this week Southview, you can't afford to give them extra possessions or they're going to make you pay. And I think, for that 7-8 minute stretch against Clay last Friday, that they made us pay, and it turned into a 21-point lead, and it was hard for us to come back from that.
Must be a Bowling Green thing last weekend, Josh, because the Falcons did the same thing on Saturday, and I'll leave it at that. So whatever was in the water or whatever in BG last week.
Hopefully the rain's been washed it away.
There we go. I think this is a new week, buddy.
That's what it is.
Coach, as you said here, and you mentioned, at this point in the season, I would say there's probably a lot of people, most of our listeners, that wouldn't have had BG in the mix here in that Cardinal division title, yet here you are. What's going to be the key to finish this out and continue to stay in that Cardinal division title hunt?
It's just executing on both sides of the football. that's what we can control. And then we got to hope for a little bit of luck in terms of, we got to stay healthy and get healthy. And I think that's just a challenge of, every year, every coach faces across the country. How can you get the next guy up ready to go, and how fast can he learn it? And, you say, yeah, we want to get the next guy up, but it's a little bit harder than what it sounds, to actually go through, especially, when you're at a smaller school like we are. So when you lose one guy, we're really losing two or three. Like Reese went down during the Springfield game. I mean, that was starting backer, second, third leading rusher. He was our punter. He was our backup quarterback. So it's just like, oh my gosh, we didn't lose just one guy. We lost Mr. Everything. So it's tough, but I guess that's why we quote unquote get paid the big bucks to figure all those problems out and, just try and move forward and take it one day at a time. I think it's easy to sometimes get lost in what's ahead. And it's just kind of bringing myself and the staff and the kids back in and say, hey, we're going to take this one play at a time. And I know that sounds cliche, but I think that's helped us at times throughout the season.
Josh, what I love about you is you haven't made one excuse, and you could easily do that. I know you well enough to know you won't do that. But I want to switch gears a little bit. I know it's early in division play, but as you look so far at the split in the league between the Buckeye and Cardinal division, do you have an early impression so far? I know it's a very small sample size, but do you kind of like it, not like it? What do you think?
Well, I mean, when you look at the divisions, we're still the second smallest fish in a big pond. It does give us, some opportunities to play a little bit smaller schools. But when I say small school, everyone's still bigger than us besides Napoleon. So they're the only ones that's smaller. And that's right. Don't forget it. It's a tough league, and you just got to bring it every week. And, I guess the split's good. I don't know a better way to do it per se, but, it's year one. I'm sure there will be adjustments, but I think that's above my pay grade to make any decisions or anything like that.
Coach, we've talked a lot on the broadcast tonight already as well about your offense. Let's flip it over and talk about your defense a little bit, because at the end of the day, scoring points is only half the equation here to get you to the record that you're at.
Defensively, we just got to find a way to get stops. And it's not necessarily forcing turnovers, but when you got someone third and long, you have to find a way, to get off of the field. And, we've struggled with that at times, whether it be not getting the pass rush home or, turning a guy loose when the guy scrambles. The thing is, too, is trying to find the starters and the players that's going to play and be there the entire game. We've played a little bit of musical chairs at backer, but again, it's no reason to be unsuccessful. It's just the expectation is you got to find a way to make a tackle. I mean, let's be real. That's what it comes down to, tackle. And we have to continue to practice that, even though we are a little dinged up, but it doesn't change. You have to tackle in this game, and that's what we have to do better on defense.
Take us through that from a coaching perspective. And I know it's tougher these days to have contact. What is your tackling like in practice, Coach?
Well, I think, the more that you can form up to a human is good. But a lot of the takedown stuff, especially like an individual, they have those tackling wheels, which we are fortunate enough to use. So it allows the kids to take them down, and have a little more contact with that. But, going full live, we rarely do that at this point in the season anyway. So, the kids are pretty good about thudding up and taking care of each other. If someone makes a play and gets in the backfield, don't take the quarterback's head off when he doesn't see you. So that's been a rule, and I think that's pretty standard.
Coach, with the success that you've had this year, talk about how the feel at the school, how the feel at the community is. What have you seen in terms of a difference with the success that you've had on Friday nights, translating kind of throughout the BG community?
Well, I think people just want to jump on and be part of something positive. We talked about RPO before. I've seen some students create their own T-shirts and walk in the halls and making sure, Coach, look, I made it myself. Like, hey man, I love it. Like, get on. Like, there's so much negativity going on in this world. If we can bring somebody somewhere some type of positivity, then come on, jump on board. And I'd be lying if I was saying I wasn't having fun. It's been a blast, especially the first 2 years struggling and getting things going. But to see the halls, and I know our student council it has been jumping on board as well, trying to get the student section larger and larger every game. So it's been a lot of fun. And, the more positive we can be, the better off we'll be.
Josh, as you prepare for Sylvania Southview this week, and you mentioned tackling just a moment ago, if there's one or two things you had to pinpoint about, listen, this is our focus going forward to get to where we want to be, what are a couple of things you're really dialed in on?
On defense?
Either side of the ball.
On defense, I'd say, the big thing is doing your assignment and trusting your read. I think, we had mentioned some guys dinged up, so guys are stepping up. So I feel like sometimes with younger guys, they see it, but they don't necessarily trust themselves all the way. Trust what you see and go. A lot of things comes down to who's going to be the aggressor. Go be the aggressor. It's that old saying, be the hammer, not the nail. I think that's what some of our young guys are still figuring out. And unfortunately, it's been on Friday nights instead of Saturdays, which you would generally like. But on Fridays, we want to be the hammer, not the nail. Offensively, it's just executing. If people are going to stop us, they're going to stop us, but it can't be because we fumble the football on our own or we miss an assignment. If they beat us because they're better than us, that happens. That's life. That's a game of football, but we have to do everything within our power to take care of the football.
What challenges does Southview present offensively to your defense this week?
I mean, they've got cats that can go. They can get the ball outside, and I think any one of them can take it the distance. So making us play in space and making us tackle is going to be a challenge from what we've shown so far. I believe that we can do it. We just have to trust what we see and go with it. Run game wise, they got some guys that can block well up front. I feel like they vastly improved from a year ago up front offensively. And we just have to, get off the rock. And when we see a down block, we got to squeeze it. We can't be running upfield and let them kick us and get underneath us and go.
Josh, you've played one game on natural grass this year. That was the Anthony Wayne game. Looking at your schedule, you'll be on natural grass this week. Does that matter? Does that make a difference?
I don't think it does. We've been practicing on grass all week, so when we know we're going to play grass, we're going on the grass practice field. It's not the best. It's not flat. So, I think our practice field is probably pretty good of what we're going to see on Friday at Southview. So, you can't sit there and complain about the elements. At the end of the day, it's football, so you have to execute.
All right.
Coach, you talked about earlier, when we were sitting down over here, the camaraderie of your coaching staff and how that's really, come together. Talk about the coaching staff. Give those guys a shout out. We like to make sure that those guys
I feel like I have one of the best staffs in the area. Everyone has a role, and I think they fulfill it to the best of their ability. I don't think anybody's ego gets too big. One of the things that I wanted to make sure that I brought with me is no one is above doing laundry. So, if we have to throw stuff in the washer, I'm not afraid to go throw it in, and it's showing it by example. And I've seen other coaches now just doing it without me even saying anything. And it just means a lot. We have cold tubs that the guys set up every Saturday. So before they leave on a road JV game, I've got coaches coming in and getting ice baths ready for the varsity guys for when we're done with film with them. I just can't say enough good things about them. They work their tails off, and whatever success we have is definitely because of them, and they deserve it.
How did you build your staff, not being from this area? How did you go about designing your staff?
I took on some, and then, you put some things out there on OHSAA. Our D coordinator, it's actually, he moved in the same time I did. So I moved back here from Texas, and then he moved in from North Carolina. So we just kind of, we started talking on the phone. And when I was first in BG, I was living with my in-laws. So I was driving from Piqua to BG, so that's about an hour and a half one way.
Yeah.
So Coach Radcliffe and I spent a lot of time on the phone together, and I felt like he was my best friend. I've never met the guy in person, so I'm like, "Hey, you want a job?" And he goes, "Yeah." So that's been really cool. Just kind of cool story to tell. And then some guys were on staff, and then other guys, hey, I know a guy that would be really good, and you sit down and you start talking and you share similar beliefs and values, and let's give this a try.
How about some of your offensive linemen? I know we talk about the guys that carry the ball for you. Take us to your guys up front, because you need them to create those holes.
Yeah, we got some characters up there. All five of them, are new starters this year, so that was a big question mark for us, and I can't say enough good things. I mean, averaging over 400 yards rushing a game, so those guys are really getting it done. When you look across the board, we've got some really big dudes, and then we got some not so big dudes. I think 3 of them are wrestlers, so that's something that we're trying to preach. You know, if you're not doing anything in the winter, you need to go wrestle. And those guys have really taken to it. So our left tackle wrestled for the first time last year, and it changed his life. And, you know, he's all of 220 pounds and playing left tackle for us. Whereas our left guard, he claims he's 270, but he's over 300 right now. But, you know, he gets after it. And they're just a lot of fun to be around. That they're different, and they're definitely making practices a lot of fun. And those guys just get along, and they've meshed really well.
Well, Coach, having been down and covered that Springfield game as our NLL game of the week, you can tell just a tremendous amount of energy in the BG community. Couldn't be happier for you and your program. And man, best of luck as we go forward here the rest of the season.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Coach, I want to ask you, and I know you're in season, and that is your sole focus. There's no question about that. And we talked about coaching at smaller schools, especially in a big school league. How important is it for you to, quote, recruit the hallways of Bowling Green High School and maybe get that kid out that was on the fence and chose not to play?
For sure.
You know, we always say you worry about what you have, not what you don't have. But the reality is at schools Bowling Green size and Napoleon size and that, you need your best athletes in the school playing football. How do you go about recruiting the hallways, and what's your sales pitch to a kid or parents that are maybe on the fence about football?
I think that you should play everything that you can. You're only in high school once. We tell our guys, make deals with somebody. Hey, you come play football, I'll come play basketball. And I think that's some of the ways that we're going to get those guys out. Obviously, winning solves everything. So hopefully we can continue on the right track, and that'll help us as well. But, the big thing, too, is about our staff right now is we've got an assistant wrestling coach. We have an assistant track coach. We have the head hockey coach. We have the head lacrosse coach. So those guys are already around all of our coaches already. So, it's easier for us to recruit. So I made the comment about wrestling. Coach Nauman's our D-line coach. It's like, hey, you already know me. Won't you come wrestle? And some of those guys have done it, and they've just fallen in love with it. So it's just, get your friends out, because they're going to help us one way or another. And, we've seen some of that, but obviously as a coach, you want more and more of it as it goes on.
Have you noticed any kids that now want to play the offensive line and block for these guys?
Not quite yet. Everyone sees all the yards, so they want to they want to
run the ball, though, probably.
Yeah. I'll say this, though, and I don't know if I should, but our tight ends right now are really tackles just with an eligible number. So we haven't thrown the ball much at all, and blocked down. That was one of our things when we're installing the offense. Coach, what do I do? Well, I'm going to tell you this, son. If you don't know, just block down, because that's about 95% of what you have to do. Yes, sir. So it's been a lot of fun. Those kids, doing something that would be deemed as more of an old school style football, but just taking it and running with it and making it their own brand. It's been fun all the way through. And, just throw this out there too, to have a quarterback that we have that's only thrown 17 times in 6 games, no touchdowns, under 100 yards passing, and is having fun because he gets more pancakes than completions in a game. And I think I'm in the right spot because I love it. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Wow. Back to what we were talking about, Josh, and this, I have never talked to anyone that said, I regret playing high school football.
No, spot on.
Still.
Spot on.
That's awesome, man.
It's great stuff. Coach, thank you so much for stopping out on
sure.
Tuesday night.
Yep.
We appreciate it.
Thanks, guys,
Best
for having
wishes
me.
the rest of the year.
For sure.
Thank you.
Thanks, Coach.
I love the style, brother. Keep it up.
Thank you. Thank you.
Welcome back to our Week 7 Coaches Show presented by KK Collision. Can't thank Kyle Kern and his crew enough at KK Collision for their support. Joined now by Ottawa Hils first-year head coach Brandon Carter. Coach, thank you so much for stopping out from the village on a Tuesday night. We appreciate it.
Oh, no problem. Thank you guys for having me. I appreciate you guys.
How was the first year going here for you?
It's been good. It's been good. I mean, we're 5-1 so far, so we're off to a pretty good start. I mean, I can't complain. I mean, obviously we lost the one close game, but besides that, I mean, it's been going pretty good, man.
What has got you to 5-1, do you feel like?
Well, preparation. I mean, the coaching staff does a good job every week, you know, preparing the guys for who we're playing against. And the kids do a good job of executing the game plan. I mean, we try to keep it as simple as we can so they're not thinking too much and they're just flying around and playing physical and fierce, man. That's our motto. That's how we play. So,
Coach, we've talked numerous times on this podcast. Number one, Ottawa Hils is lucky to have you, man.
thank you.
They are, and those kids are lucky to have you.
Thank you.
You're following a guy that did it well for a long time, Coach Hardman.
Mm-hmm.
Does he still hang around and nag you from time to time?
Well, his grandson is one of the water boys.
Okay.
So there's still some Hardman bloodlines in the football program. So, but yeah, whenever I need anything, he always is right there, a phone call away, or I'll be at gym class and he's on the baseball field and, you know, doing something with the field, and I may go over there and stop and talk to him.
Yep.
So, yeah.
What a great resource, huh?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, Chris, he's a great guy, man.
That's
He
awesome.
is.
Coach, looking at this year's squad, I mean, obviously you lost some key playmakers off of last year's squad that had a tremendous amount of success. You come in your first year, kind of a new coaching staff. You got, guys that you lost. What really got the team started fast and in the right direction?
Well, honestly, it goes back to like all of the juniors and the seniors. Myself and Greg Newendorf, we coached them in junior high.
Okay.
So we've had all these guys, and we didn't lose too many games in junior high with this crew too. Like we would pull up. I think we had either 16 or 18 kids, and they were like, "Yo, that's all you got?" I'm like, "That's all we need." We would go out there and get it done, man. I mean, those guys they've always been tough, hard-nosed kids anyway. You know what I mean? So everybody else was kind of surprised, but I'm not surprised because I knew that was their mentality anyway from when they were younger guys, And then coaching baseball too, I had a lot of those guys coaching baseball. We won a lot of games coaching JV baseball with those guys too. So the relationship was already there. The bond was already there. And, usually in a program, the kids kind of take on the coach's mentality, and that's always been my mentality, and they bought into it a long time ago.
So, Coach, Ottawa Hils, and I know Lynn would agree, one of our favorite programs to follow the last couple of years. We had the good fortune of covering some games in the village last year. We were treated so well by that school and community. And I've said this over the years, sometimes when you think of Ottawa Hils, right, you think maybe more white collar, not as tough, not as physical. What I saw last year, those Green Bears can get nasty.
Yeah.
And so what would you say to someone that says Ottawa Hils kids can't be tough and physical?
Well, it's funny. The week we actually played Whiteford.
Yeah.
It was a BCSN game, so they were covering it. And Jack Newhort, I coached Jack when he was at St. John, so we go way back. And he called and he was like, before the game started, this is earlier in the week, he was like, "Coach, dude, what the heck is going on at Ottawa Hils?" When I was growing up, the kids were soft and you know what I mean? Like football was definitely not the sport over there. Like, what the heck do you have going on over there? So it just made me laugh because and even before I came over there, that would have been, you know what I'm saying? I thought about Ottawa Hils kids too, but these kids, man, they'll punch you in the mouth.
They will.
They will. And they play with a chip on their shoulder.
They do.
And that's been our rallying cry to everybody. It's just like, our kids aren't soft. You think we are until after we line up and play you. You know what I mean? And then after the game, the coach is all, you got a physical football. And we pride ourselves on that. And our kids take it personal. Every time we line up Friday night, I say, you make sure that these guys remember you and remember you forever. And they always do. They do a good job of taking it personal and really playing with that chip on their shoulder.
I love it.
That's great.
Coach, as you look, not that we want to get too far looking ahead, we don't, but you got Hilltop followed by Stritch here, two teams that have been struggling a little bit, but then back half we got two teams that are pretty tough in the league. How do you keep your kids focused, on this next 2 week stretch and keep humming at the ability that they can do?
Well, we had a team meeting actually Sunday, and I told them, I said, for us, the playoffs start right now. That's our approach. So it doesn't matter who we line up against this week, next week, the week after that. If we have the same approach, no matter who we playing, then we'll have the same outcome. So it's just a matter of it doesn't matter who we're playing. So we just want to make sure we have the right mindset every day when we go out there, no matter who we're playing against on Friday night. So that's been our approach. The playoffs start right now, so we need to be locked in, gelling, peaking at the right time. So that's our approach.
Coach, you can't dwell on losses, right? You had a dogfight with an outstanding Whiteford, Michigan team. You can't dwell on it, but yet we need to learn from our losses. So what are a couple things you learned from your only setback this year?
Well, I think as a coaching staff, I think we learned a lot too, because that was really the first time that we were trailing all year and got punched in the mouth, and I think there were some things that we did as a coaching staff. Obviously, it falls on me. I'm the head guy. So that I think that, I could have handled or I could have done differently. But being the first-year coach, there's a learning curve, and I learned from it. And that's what I stood out in front of everybody and said, I take the blame for this loss. There were some things that I should have done, that would have given us a better chance to win this game. But you live and you learn. It was a great atmosphere. It was like a playoff game, and I would rather have that happen earlier in the season and learn from it than it's week 11 and that happened. So it was definitely a blessing. Hats off to Whiteford. They're a really good football team, man. I'm sure they'll go pretty far this year.
I love that answer. I love it.
Coach, as you look at your offense, you're averaging in the neighborhood of 40 points a game. I mean, I think that we just expect to look at the scoreboard at the end of the night anymore and see 40 something from Ottawa Hils. Talk about your offense and the production there, and the key guys that you have that are doing that.
Well, it's with the skill guys, it's really hard to just key in on one person. I mean, obviously you got the Pillarelli brothers. I mean, and like Reddick, you can catch it, throw it to him, hand it to him. Obviously, he's a threat on special teams like that too. Same thing with Rocco. You can hand it to him, and you can throw it to him. Jack Perozic, same thing. I mean, he is a specimen. I mean, you can throw him the ball, and he'll get upfield and get you some tough yards too. Cooper Eidner, he's a good tight end for us, big target over the middle. He does a good job. But it all starts up front at the end of the day, man. And we have our offensive line. They do a great job. You got Teddy Sypersky, Luke Nepper, Ben Burke, Sterling Karakis, Jace Neuendorf. I think I might be missing somebody.
Well, you at least got 5 there.
I got 5 there, but those guys do a good job. Same thing. They take it personal every week and make sure that they set the tone. I tell them, we taking the ball first no matter what. It doesn't matter who we playing. Our mindset is we want the ball first, and we want to set the tone on offense first and go down and drive and score. We've done that up until last week. That was the first game where we didn't take the ball first and score. We took the ball first. We just didn't score first last week.
What has led to that early success? Can you pinpoint that?
Well, I mean, it all starts with having a good week of practice. You know what I mean? And like I said, I mean, coaching staff does a fantastic job. Scott Anderson, he's our O-line coach. He's an old school guy. He coached at Iowa back in the day, man. And if it was up to him, we would never throw the ball anyway. So he always wants to establish the run. And it's I shouldn't say it's easy, but it makes it easy to do that when you have guys up front that really get after it and really take it personal. I mean, there'll be times where we're in the game and they'll come over to the sideline and be like, yo, run trap right behind me. Run ISO right behind me. We're going to score. Let's go. Call it, coach. We got you right here. So it makes it a whole lot easier when you have guys that just go above and beyond, you know what I mean? Of their job, of their talent, of their athletic ability. They do that. Like our guys play a level above what their athleticism is, what their talent level is. And that's why this year has been so special.
Coach, I know which one of your big guys you forgot up front. One of your big cats, Jack V.
Jack V. I am sorry, and I love you, man. I'm sorry I forgot your name. I don't know how I forgot you, Jack. I'm so sorry.
He's a stud.
Yes, he is.
He's a stud.
Two-way player, Jack. Man, he brings it every day, man. He is our vocal leader. Like he sets the tone.
Yep.
He does. He sets the tone on both sides of the ball, man. He does an excellent job. Love the kid. He'll run through a brick wall for you, man. He does a good job every week.
Are those guys up front, personality-wise, all about the same or different? Describe those guys up front for us.
I mean, they're all kind of goofy anyway, though, man. Like, it's a funny group because they're all super close, like all of them. I mean, from whether they play, obviously, football together, some of them play lacrosse together and stuff like that, too. And just being in the village, you grow up together, so you're usually with each other from whatever the moment you move into the village until you graduate. So all those guys are super close anyway, so –
Coach, flipping over, we talked to offensive production, impressive through the season, but, something that I think people are probably overlooking a little bit is your defense.
Oh, yeah.
Averaging 11.5 points
Yeah.
Through 6 weeks. Talk about that defensive unit because, I mean, that's tough to do.
Yeah, the defense, I mean, like I said, give it up to the coaching staff, Greg Neuendorf, Brian George. Those guys do a good job. I coach the secondary. But we keep it simple for them. And we coach them to their skill set. So we try not to make things too difficult. And we're undersized anyway. So we try to take advantage of our speed and athleticism on defense and fly around and hit people, man, and cause as many turnovers as we can and try to get extra possessions for our offense. So
how many two-way players do you have? I mean, obviously.
Pretty much everybody.
I was going to say.
Yeah, pretty much everybody. And then we'll rotate some guys in too. But those guys, they go both ways, man. I mean, it's old school football with us, man. We got like 32 guys and everybody plays both ways, man. So it's pretty cool to see.
Coach, as the head man, you coach a position, you coach a secondary. Mm-hmm. How much do you delegate to your assistant coaches?
A lot. I mean, because it's a great staff. So they handle a lot of the stuff like I don't even have to worry about. So they take care of a lot of the stuff. So it makes my job 10 times easier, especially being a first-year head coach, let alone a head coach. Sure. So those guys do an excellent job, man. They're phenomenal, man. And like I said, I definitely wouldn't be in this position. We wouldn't have this record without those guys helping me out for sure.
Coach, what's going to be the key for the Green Bears to have that TAC title at the end of the season?
Well, we got to stay healthy. I mean, health is always, a big thing, especially being a smaller school. We can't really afford to lose guys depth-wise, because we don't have a lot of kids. Mm-hmm. And just keep peaking and just keep gelling and just keep getting better every week. I told the kids, I said, and I don't want to sound like cocky or arrogant or nothing like that, but I said, if we're doing what we're supposed to do, nobody can beat us but us. So we're the only team that can beat ourselves. And it kind of showed against Northwood last week. We kind of came out sluggish and flat. I'll take the blame for that. I was sick last week, so I missed a lot of practice last week. So I'll take the blame for that, of us coming out sluggish and things like that. But like I said, if we're clicking on all cylinders, we're tough to beat, man. I like our chances against anybody. Not to sound cocky or arrogant, but I like our chances. If we don't beat ourselves, we're a pretty good football team.
Well, I know we like your chances too.
Yeah, absolutely.
Coach, going forward, if you had to pinpoint a thing or two on either offense or defense, hey, this is where we need to improve going down the stretch. What are a couple areas where you think the Green Bears need to improve?
Well, offensively, I would say just obviously knowing your assignment, but doing it to the best of your ability every play. And I know it's high school kids. You can turn on the NFL game and somebody will miss a block or drop a ball or things like that. But it's just practice to be as perfect as you can, and then it'll obviously carry over in the game. Defensively, it's just a matter of just causing more turnovers than we have, just trying to get extra possessions, like I said, on defense. So I would just say defensively is just, forcing more turnovers. I think we only have 2 interceptions, and one of them is by the linebacker. Luke Neppers got one, and then Jackson just got one last week. So just more turnovers on defense.
Love it.
Special teams, where you at there? Obviously, losing Emilio, man, that's a huge adjustment. I'm sure
it is a huge adjustment, but you know what? We had another soccer player come out, Michael Walker. He never played football ever before in his life. He's a soccer kid, and he came out. And honestly, he's done a damn good job, man, for us. I think it was a Gibsonburg game. He had 3 squib kicks / onside kicks that we got the ball. He actually does that better than Emilio. He actually does that better than Emilio. So he's ahead of the curve there. Field goal wise, he's still kind of finding his way and just being more consistent. He missed one last week, and then he came back and made another one later in the game. But I told him when he missed it, he was walking off. I said, hey, man, keep your head up because guess what? We're going to come back to you. And I did. And then he ended up making it. And I sent him a text Sunday. And I was like, yo, don't be so hard on yourself because when we get to the playoffs, you're going to win us a game with your legs. So you just be ready.
Yeah.
So
What grade's he in, Coach?
he's a junior.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, he's only a
Nice.
junior.
Nice.
Is he enjoying it?
Yes, he's having. He quit soccer and just playing football.
wow.
So yeah,
You're public enemy number one now.
So yeah, and the way that I found out, the soccer coach came up to me after practice, and Micah's mom was out there. I'm like, oh man, I did something wrong because his mom's up here. So she was like, hey, coach. I'm like, hey, and I just kept on going, like I didn't even stop. And then he came up to me and he was like, yo, like. Mom said that he loves football and he just wants to do that full time. And I was like, yo, I just want you to know. I didn't make him do it. He was like, no, I know you didn't. So it was great. But he's having so much fun, man.
Great.
Her only concern was he's not going to have to tackle anybody. And I was like, well, on kickoff, he better not be tackling anybody or we're in trouble.
Yeah, God willing.
Did he have the squib kicks already in his repertoire when he showed up, or was it something that you had to coach him up on, or how did this develop?
Honestly, like he worked his butt off, man. Like when he said that he wanted to play, like his mom signed him up for a whole bunch of camps because he never kicked before. So she was like, coach, I'm just gonna sign him up to go here and go there. So they taught him. And then like you would come up to school and you'll see him out there just working on it, work by himself. He'll just be out there field goal kicking, punting, kicking off and different stuff like that. So he's put the work in, but he learned from a great one because Emilio will be out there all the time and doing that. So and he still comes up there. I'm like, dude, you play at Toledo. What are you doing up here kicking? He like, coach, I'm just practicing because he lives right down the street. So he's like, I just, came up here just to get some extra kicks in too. So I love it. I love a hard worker, man. So always got love for those guys. And Micah, he's a hard worker too, and he's been doing an excellent job.
That's great. Yeah. That's great. How are the other sports? And I think we asked you this at the kickoff show, but everything just kind of gels together and breeds kind of competition there in Ottawa Hills. Baseball, cross country, tennis. You can go right down the list, every sport you have, and you have kids that are playing for a state championship every year. Yeah.
I mean, and that's the thing. It's like Ottawa Hills is like a hidden gem. You know what I mean? Because it's like if you don't really pay attention to them, you don't know how good they are in all the sports. I mean, track, cross country, those guys are good. Soccer on both sides, boys and girls, they're always good. Coach Lindsay's a legend. He's done a great job in basketball. Lacrosse, I mean, it's a newer sport, but I mean, they've had a hell of a lot of success already. And then baseball. I mean, when you think about it, Hills, that's the first sport that you think of. Right. Baseball. Yeah. I mean, Coach Hartman's been doing it for, I think, longer than I've been alive. So I mean, it is a great, obviously, academic school, but the sports, man, is on a smaller school level. It's second to none, man. It really is.
When you got to Ottawa Hills, did your perception of Ottawa Hills change?
Absolutely.
Okay.
It did, because when I first got there, I'm like, man, I don't know. You know what I mean? Because I'm coming from Whitmer and St. John's and, places like that. And I'm just like, I don't know, and then as the sport, which was baseball at the time, started, and I'm like, and these kids are tougher than I thought. With baseball, you play a crazy schedule over there. I mean, we play everybody, all of the Catholic schools, all of the big public schools, and Defiance, and like everybody. And like we show up to the game, so I'm thinking like I'm gonna have to give the kids a pep talk so they're not nervous. They like, oh, coach, man, we already beat them in travel summer ball with everybody. So yeah, let's just go get this done. Like that's the mentality. So I was like, oh, I fit right in here. So it's been great, man. They fear nobody. Like in any of those sports, none of those teams, boys or girls, they don't fear anybody, man. And I love it. I absolutely love it.
That is great.
Gosh, man, that is great.
Coach, talk about that support of the community just overall for what you're doing on the football field and the other sports experience you've had. I mean, I know. The community is a special place here.
It is. It's a super tight-knit group. They actually had some people get inducted to the Hall of Fame last week before the game. So Erica Silk, she's the head of the foundation. She was like, Coach, will you come in and speak and talk to, the people in the banquet? I said, absolutely. So I went in there, gave them a rah-rah speech, and obviously thanked them for welcoming me into the community. And just like the response that I got from her and like even other people in the community. I mean, like it's not a super big community, but they're super close, man. And they really do appreciate you doing good things for kids. So like I said, I have nothing but great things to say about the Ottawa Hills community. They've been so good to me and my family. I'm just super fortunate and blessed to be there.
Excellent.
We can't let you go before we let you talk about your Eagles there, because I know you have a connection, Coach.
Yeah.
They got another one last night, right?
They did. They did. We got to work on that red zone offense, though. It was a little turn it over a couple times in the red zone. We moved the ball up and down the field pretty good till we got in the red zone. So Nick's he's gonna have to get that figured out, man. I'm gonna have to
You in his ear? You giving him some tips?
I'm gonna give him a little time to get it worked out. He's got 2 new coordinators, but defense is clicking. Offense, they kind of sputtering out, but I mean they got so many weapons, so it's hard to key on any of those guys too. But he'll get it rolling.
Maybe send him some Ottawa Hills film.
There you go.
There we go.
Get some pointers.
We're gonna have the NFL guys tuning into our show here. We're giving tips.
Yeah.
Come on, pro football.
Exactly.
Definitely.
Coach, we can't thank you enough for coming out here on Tuesday night. I
Absolutely.
know it's a drive for you in a haul, but thank you so much.
Oh, yeah.
Best wishes. We love covering the Green Bears.
Yeah, absolutely. Anytime, man. I'll do anything for you guys. You were one of the first guys to reach out to me when I got the job, and I'll never forget that.
I could talk to this guy all night, man.
Yeah.
We can get him back out here, I'm sure.
Hey, I'll jump on whenever.
Maybe come playoff time,
Yeah.
we'll get him
Absolutely.
back out
Get
here.
that
Yeah.
way.
I would love to do it. Absolutely. You guys are great, man. I always
Appreciate
enjoy your show. You guys do great work, and I appreciate you guys and covering our kids and being able to put a spotlight on them. That only just helps and enhances their chances, the guys that want to go to the next level. So we appreciate everything that you guys do for us. So thank you.
Thank you,
Pleasure.
Coach.
Thank you,
Yep.
Coach.
Pleasure.
Our
Best of
pleasure.
luck.
Thank you.
Thank you.
See you down the road, buddy.
Yes, sir.
Good job.
Thank you.